I'm Kim Keefe with Kim Keefe's Community Corner. I'm with Kim Keefe's Team Open Doors, powered by Keefe Real Estate. And I am thrilled to be with you today with our Deputy Mayor, Mike Turner. Hello, Mike. Welcome to our show.
Thanks, Kim. It's a pleasure being here, and a great community thing that you do in putting these together. So I'm very proud to be here.
Well, thank you. It's a small list so far who've been able to be on our show.
Yeah.
But as you and I were chatting earlier, I guess the focus was that with our upcoming mayoral election and our fabulous Dr. Brian Sager, who is retiring from his position as mayor after quite some term, quite a stint there.
4 terms.
Whew. Are you in for 4 terms?
I'm not in for 4 terms. I can.
Sorry, that wasn't one of the questions.
I can tell you that. No, I can tell you straight up, 2 max. So
wonderful. So in light of that, and because of a lack of other candidates on the ballot, I had been hearing that the community felt like there was a real disservice because we don't know exactly where you stand in case we haven't been paying attention to the city council minutes.
Yeah.
And we thought this would be a great opportunity to hear more from you about you and how we get to this place. So
sure.
If you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about who you are and why you're here, why you decided to take on this challenge.
Sure. So I appreciate that as a starting point. So I've been living in Woodstock since 1996. So I'm not a native. I actually grew up in Minnesota, went to college at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. After that, have lived in Texas, have lived in Naperville, have lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then settled in Woodstock in '96. I've been here a long time, and both of my kids were raised here and attended schools here in Woodstock, public schools. And so I've been here quite a while, feel fairly ingrained in the community, love the community. And so, it's absolutely been a great place to call home. I work as a sales rep for a large insurance company, very large insurance company, and been doing that for a number of years. But my wife and I, along with a couple other local partners, also own a small business in Woodstock. We own Sports City Academy, which has been in place since 2008. We've seen some interesting things in that time, to say the least. So a financial recession followed by the pandemic, or not followed by, but part of it. So it's had its challenges like everybody else. And so, I like to kind of think I've got a good feel for both small business, big business. I've been in government now for 4 terms. I ran in 2005. I know that folks maybe, they haven't seen me in the lead role like the mayor, so they may not know where I stand on every, position or ideas. But I also, I got a 16-year voting record. So it's not hard to find out, if you want to know kind of my thoughts and mindset on things. And, the information's out there, but I welcome the chance to provide this to you now and to anybody as we go through the transition process from Brian to me. I'm absolutely willing to do that. So I appreciate this opportunity right now.
Wonderful. Great. And if you all stick on long enough, we'll make sure you have Mike's contact information so that if you have some questions, burning questions or initiatives that you'd like to consider, then we'll make sure that you have that information. So let's start out head on with what your vision is for the city.
So as I looked at Woodstock when I first moved here, and I still share the same thinking about it, I think that the inherent qualities of the city are very clear as far as great sense of community, folks that are very committed to the city and to the lives they build here, the friends, the community itself. We have a lot of assets going for us as far as the inherent, uniqueness of the square. And that's always mentioned, but that's because that's a big part of who we are. And it is a tremendous asset. We've got a state highway going through us, although it's at times clogged, and we're working to make that to help make that better. We're close to O'Hare. We're on a train line to Chicago. We have a lot of great assets here. And so as I look at the vision of Woodstock, it is my hope and what I will work toward is I kind of call it elevating. I think that we can elevate who we are. I think that we need to continue to grow economically. And if anything, that COVID and even back to the recession has taught us that if we don't continue to grow dynamically and economically, that things stagnate. And when that happens, that brings a lot of pain and issues for our families and our businesses. So I'd like to work to realize a higher level of growth for the community. I'd like to see us go up to that next level, if you will, as far as developing downtown, creating opportunities for economic growth, be that service, be that manufacturing, whatever it is in our corridors that we have, work to attract businesses that bring jobs, and to build on on the uniqueness of our city as a great place to live, and move it up another level with economic growth. So that's probably that's probably the main driver of vision that I have. And I think coming out of the post-COVID era, that's going to be very important. And so I'll be looking to do that, the other element for me is that I go by the mantra of something called fail quickly. Okay. And that's an entrepreneurial concept, which is, let's try things, let's have them succeed or fail, and let's make things happen more quickly, perhaps, than they traditionally do in government. So I actually I think that's important coming out of the post-COVID time period, because I think a lot of communities are going to be looking to push themselves, for economic growth and activity. And I think that's something we're going to have to, a same mindset we're going to have to take as we move into the latter half of this year and beyond.
So you wrapped a lot
Yes.
into that little question there.
Yeah.
And I know that a big part of our concerns as consumers, as property taxpayers in our community, is property tax, and having less than a stellar, perhaps, commercial infusion into our tax base makes for decently high taxes here. And so there are lots of layers to that, from transportation, infrastructure. Right now we have quite a few, industrial buildings that are vacant, on the market for sale, looking for repurposing. And so some of that goes to business attraction and some goes to retention. And as you mentioned in your last answer, that's a real focus. Do you have any key targets, any real, gems of ideas that are out there to be tried?
So I would characterize it, or I'd answer that this way: that the economy nationally is actually doing okay, considering what we've been through the last year. There are pockets of in areas that are growing. As I look at Woodstock, there are challenges that relates to our property taxes. There are challenges as it relates to our state. Okay. And we can't do anything about the state. We can do a little something about property taxes, but I think to the, when I heard in your question is, how do we get more business and industry? Because that takes our tax base away from being primarily residential. And I completely agree with that. I think that commercial manufacturing, business usage, combined with, retail opportunities as well, that we need to increase the number of those potential businesses in our city. So how do we do that? Well, first, I'm not going to claim to have a silver bullet, but my approach and my vision on what we need to do with that is that we have, again, back to the assets of the community, we have tremendous assets, we have available buildings, we have a good workforce, we have specialization in machining and things that this area is kind of known for. What I would like to see us do, and what I'll drive council and staff to do, is to be aggressive in how we work to identify, reach out, and attract people to come to Woodstock. For lack of a better term, it's almost selling, that we sell our city, we sell the opportunity, we create a desire for people to make this their home to live, place to visit, but also a place to locate a business. I think we need to go out and, post COVID, instead of playing defense on COVID and everything else and property taxes and all that, that we need to take those assets and go out and work to find opportunities, with businesses that, look at the things that we have here and say, yeah, there are things, good workforce, lots of available buildings, transportation systems very good, near the third largest metro area in the United States. Let's take advantage of those things. We've built a good opportunity for creating awareness of Woodstock through the marketing efforts we've done with the Real Woodstock campaign. I think that's working. We now have, I think it's pushing 14,000 people that have chosen to receive information from us. It's been primarily focused on, on more visitors and, perhaps entertainment, restaurants, that kind of stuff. But it also has moved into attracting residents, which I think you and other realtors have kind of seen a little bit more of an influx of people out of the city. So let's take advantage of that. And I think we now need to move into the commercial area for that. And in the meantime, we've got to work to keep our taxes low. The city, in fact, has done an outstanding job of that. And people don't always, understand that property taxes, the $8,000 you pay, the city portion of that is maybe 14%, so roughly $1,100, $1,200. If you look, you'll see we've kept that pretty flat and actually have lowered it in the last 10 years. And we're one of the few taxing bodies that make up your property taxes that can say that. So we'll continue to do that because I think it benefits the city. But then we're going to look for ways to grow, because the need to grow or the benefits of growing will help mitigate those property taxes in the future. And that's another reason to push a growth agenda for me.
And that's a great point, because so many times folks misunderstand the property tax equation and where your money goes when you pay your property taxes. And to really reinforce that the city's portion of that is so low, and that there are other entities on that tax bill that really need the pressuring as well. And as we've discussed before too, in our family, the rule is we don't mind paying high taxes as long as we get great services. And what I feel too is that in our conversation right here, the sense of great vim and vigor, and that you're jazzed up about this opportunity, and what a great time for us to be as a city with leadership that's refreshed and ready to go. And what I'm hearing also is really a progressive approach. Is that how you would describe your incoming term?
Sure. Progressive and aggressive might be the two terms to use. And progressive in that I look for ways to, I'm going to look for ways to use the assets of the city, meaning the city staff, assets of us as a community, to try to drive, opportunities to grow economically, and to grow, with more residents that come to Woodstock. And the vim and vigor thing, anybody who's known me knows that I'm a bit, animated, might be, for lack of a better term. I'm not a status quo guy. I want to see us push the envelope and make things happen. I want to see them happen, as quickly as possible, not changing any requirements for process or any of those things. However, I guess I'm, for lack of a better term, you might say I'm a bit impatient in that, and that's the entrepreneur in me, and also a desire, and not just the desire, but a belief that we have a need to act, aggressively on both actions and time frame to increase and improve the economic activity of Woodstock. And then that just cascades from there, meaning that, if we have more residents move in and more workforce, which attracts more businesses, which attracts more amenities people say they want, whether it's a national food chain or small, unique boutiques and stores or restaurants and entertainment and things like that, that builds on itself. Again, for, to use an overused term, synergy is what it creates. And when you look at Woodstock too, as I drive down the train line, I don't see any other city on the train line, or any place else on a drive for that matter, that has the unique residential and mixed use opportunities that we have in downtown Woodstock. I think it's time to act on those things. We passed our TIF 2 to spur growth there, to spur growth down 47. Then COVID hit and that slowed up development. But the clock is ticking for us on that TIF, and we gain more as a community. We get better economic benefits, financial benefits from that TIF if we get things going. And so that'll be a big part of my focus.
Well, that's wonderful. And I have to say that as a realtor, as a community member, I'm excited to hear about your vim and vigor, because I think that it radiates among us, and it's all of our jobs to be the ambassadors for our city and to attract, recruit, to pick up the garbage, to bring in good people, to be the attractors to this, and to jump in on the bandwagon. And part of that comes with this conversation right here. And so if there is something that you see as a person watching this that or you'd like to see addressed or brought to the attention or vetted, then let's do it. And I think that you can bring it to my attention, you can bring it to Mike's or any of the council. And I guess in closing, is the council members that are seated now, do they have this same passion, or are you selling them on this as well?
Oh, no. So anybody who serves in this role on council, and that includes the current mayor and anybody who has in the past, whether I may always agree with them or not, you have to have a level of passion and commitment for this, because it can be a lot of work at time, and it can, you've got to make tough votes at times. So you have to have that passion and drive. As it relates to the council members that'll be carrying over, as it relates to the two new ones that'll be joining, and then Gordy Tibaho, who's existing and will be coming on, I have a ton of faith in the crew that we have there, in their belief of some of the things that I'm advocating for, that will work as a team, and help make decisions for the city that drive us forward. I think that the objective and outcome of everybody on council is very similar. We may have different viewpoints and ideas about how to get there, but that's part of the benefit of a body of 7 people that make decisions. And then, it's my job, I feel, to coalesce the thoughts and the ideas, but also to drive a vision and an agenda for the city. And I take that role seriously, and I'll continue to do that. I think that strategically, as we look at what we can do both at a council level and with our staff, that strategy and vision, is something that I'm going to be focused on. Again, it's not so much saying we haven't done it in the past. It's saying that as we are sitting in this era where we're ending a very vicious economic cycle, and there's pent up demand, there's pent up need, there's an opportunity that exists there. And so I think we need to capture that. And so I think the aggressiveness and the creativity and a strategic focus is what's needed right now.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Turner, thank you so much for your service.
Mike is fine.
The last 16 years, and your additional, hopefully, 2 terms. And but truly, thankfully, we are very thankful for your service. We look forward to your leadership and your strategy and your vision. And again, if we can be of assistance to you, don't hesitate to reach out. And with that, don't forget to vote April 6th.
That's right. Yeah, still get out there and vote. There's people on the ballot. So make your voices heard. Now is the time.
Wonderful. All right. Till next time, I'm Kim Keefe with Kim Keefe's Team Open Doors, signing off.
Thanks, Kim.